It's coming to Canada, guys. This is not just happening in America. It's coming to Canada. This is what happens when you call police devils, when you call them all racist. And I don't see any way of getting out of it now. You know, Clinton Jaws, guys. Website out there called clintonjaws.com. Go to it. Sometimes I just sit down here and I try to hammer it out. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about Greg, the police officer, OPP Constable that was shot and killed. I got some things to say about this. I want you to hear me out. And his last name is Greg Pierzchala, or Pierzchala. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Sorry to his family. This kid just starts off becoming a cop. He finishes his probation. It's his first night out. And I remember my first day out. He's alone without his trainer. He shows up, boom, 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 he's dead. Everybody's asking why. Why'd this happen? That's strange. That's strange why this happened. There's an article that popped up. Police associations to examine issues behind officer killings after recent deaths. They're going to work together to identify the root causes behind the deaths and call for change. They don't know why this happened. I said a long time ago, it's coming to Canada, guys. It's coming to Canada. Now let's talk about why it happened, and let's get race. Even though I'm about to bring it up, let's get it out of the way. The person who killed Greg, it was not a white guy. One of my subscribers sent me a picture of the bad guy, the murderer. That's him. That's what he looks like. This is how I found out that Greg got shot. Later on in the afternoon, there's another article that popped up, and it showed a crayon drawing of the suspect, of the murderer. And I look at it, and I'll bring it up. And it confused me. And it's only time that race entered my head. I thought, what? It was a white guy? A white guy? I didn't think it was a white guy that killed Greg. Honest to God, that's what I thought. I know some of you are probably looking at it. Clearly, Clint, he doesn't look like a white guy. To me, he looked like a white guy because I seen what the suspect actually looked like. And then I thought, are they trying to protect the bad guy again? Which they love to do, don't they? So I dug into it a little bit, and I'm not going to mention her name. I'm not going to mention the artist. But I started flipping around her drawings, her court drawings, looking for black people. What color crayon does she use for a black person? This is what I found out. Don't know if it means anything, okay? So settle down. It's just my brain, what I'm thinking. When it's a black person, when it's a black victim that is beaten up by a white police officer, she uses the blackest crayon that she has in her arsenal. That's the tool she chooses to use. You know, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? We'll make it worse, right? Let's start with the media. Every single time, the media makes it worse. She's part of the media. Do you even know what Shelby Patton's killers look like? Now, if the roles were reversed, this would be racism. Police officer, white, shoots and kills the murderer. It would have been racist. Mark Miller would have been pissed and outraged.
Indigenous peoples living in Canada, politicians, I'm pissed, I'm outraged. There needs to be a full accounting of...
That's what he said when Chantel Moore was justifiably killed. He's pissed in it. Are you pissed now, Mark? Haven't heard from you. So let's take race out of this. Let's take race out of this conversation right now. It wasn't a racist act. Isn't it nice when you can do that? Because the racism, everything's racist. It's a distraction. That's what they try to do. They try to distract you. So when you remove the racism, it's no longer cloudy. It allows you to focus on the real issues. Why did this happen? Who do we start with? Angela Simmons, she would tell you that a gun killed Greg, should have been in prison and never let out. This is what killed him.
A gun killed an innocent child.
It was a gun. It's easy to blame the judges, isn't it? Oh, the judges let him go. Maybe the judges have some pressure, guys. And bear with me here. It's too easy to say, oh, Crown Counsel, which are a problem. A lot of them are a problem. They won't go with the charges. They're more interested in concluding a file than bringing it to court. But yes, of course, judges are lenient on these people. But are they pressured by politicians? Of course they are. RCMP female police officer Shaylin Yang stabbed and murdered and killed by a homeless person. The same homeless people that politicians stick up for. Oh, they're down on their luck, so they refer to them as homeless, and they try to help these people. They give them money, free shelter, free injection sites. They don't treat them like scumbags. They don't try to clean up the streets. Then isn't that something else, cleaning up the streets? Who's cleaning up the streets? The police are cleaning up the streets. That's what they do. The police clean up the streets only to have them come back onto the street because the politicians want them out. Like, who do we blame? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? That guy who stabbed Yang should have been in jail. The people that ran over and murdered Shelby Patton should have been in jail. They're on conditions. But they were released back into society. The guy who killed Greg had a warrant, had a huge criminal record. Should have been in jail. But no, we're more interested in healing centers. Get them out of the jail quick. There's an overrepresentation of a certain group. You know, it's not that they're doing the majority of the crime. No, we got to get that. It's unfair. It's racism. We got to get them back onto the street so they can commit and kill. So I'm unsafe. Greg's unsafe. All these police officers that I'm talking about are unsafe. Andrew Hong, I think that's his name, walks into Tim Hortons this year. A guy enters Tim Hortons, shoots him in the back of the head with a gun. Murdered. That guy should have been in jail. How do we fix it? What do you expect? Of course this is happening. Trudeau called all police services systemically racist. How do you expect people to view police? Lucky. You remember Lucky? Do you remember when she said this? And we know why this happened, right? There's a couple of reasons, but we know why. Remember this?
Yes, there's absolutely systemic racism.
When you call police bad, when you call police racist, this is your result. Absolutely. There's systemic racism. I said in earlier videos that when you talk like that, you're going to get police officers killed. Because of course, we're the devil. You're lying to people when you call us racist. You're lying to people when you use the term systemic racism. It's not true. And you're killing us. Nobody wants to apply anymore because of you guys. Look at this 4-year. This is what happens when you call police racism. Another kid got arrested for obstruction. Nobody went to jail. Punching a cop car. Adults are involved. A police officer gets punched in the head several times. Cops show up. Little kids want to fight them. Swarmed in Surrey by children. How do you expect children to feel about police when you kick them out of the schools in Vancouver? Who to blame? Now, do you think any of these people are really allowing police to do their job safely? And the media is not even showing. Did you see the Twitter? Did you see the video of the scum bucket that killed Greg that shows up to the hospital?
No, why are you guys trying to take pictures of him and shit? It's the news! It's the news!
That's what he said. Right after he murdered Greg, that's what he says to a guy. What does Bill Blair do? He released inmates during COVID so they wouldn't get COVID. He released them into your community, into your population. We're more interested in healing centers and getting them out of jail. Why? You lock them up. You keep them locked up. Homeless people, you institutionalize them. You actually clean up the street. That's what we're doing. Police are cleaning up the street. But you won't let us. Doctors. Oh, just legalize drugs. Reduce sentences for homeless people if they're arrested on some kind of drug charge, right? Everything is... You wonder why 6 cops were murdered this year in Canada? It's 5 or 6. Isn't it obvious? And I can't believe I even have to... I'm talking like that. I can't. It's so obvious to me. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just my opinion. But it's pretty obvious to me. How are we putting up with it? We're putting up with it. Why do we put up with it? We literally put up... I bet you, people forgot about Shelby. I'm not going to say people forgot about Shelby Patton. But we just sweep it under the rug. It's just another police officer that was murdered. And we'll stop thinking about it. We'll stop talking about it. His funeral's over. Right? We don't get anywhere. I'm not going to tell people how to vote, but my God, it's not working. We need to talk about culture. Okay? People's culture. That's what we need. You want to get down to the roots? Look at culture. Look at the politicians. Look at the easy sentences and the pressure that's probably on judges to release these people. Those are the things that you attack to change things and get down to the root. When I was a cop, I felt like half the time there was no point putting in a report to Crown Counsel, putting in a charge for them to approve because I knew that they weren't going to approve it. 15 B&Es in a row, 6 months in jail maybe? This POS shouldn't have seen the light of day. But because he's seen the light of day, a police officer has been murdered. Ugh. We got to figure out why so many police officers have died recently. It ain't the police. I don't know. I could go on and on and on and on and on. And why would I go on and on and on and on? My point is, nobody likes police. Little kids don't like police anymore. So they take them out of school. We can't even get close to kids. Of course, people are going to have the view after George Floyd and people like Lucky not sticking up for police officers. And I'm sorry about Lucky, it's just my focus. She was my boss at one point. Nobody's applying, guys. Do you know how many officers, how many detachments are short? Because of her words. Who's the core problem here? It's all these people. It's all these people. Goofy. They're not protecting you. They're not protecting you, I promise. You might think they are, but they're not. Stop feeling for the bad guy. They're bad. Do you remember when that guy killed like 10 or 11 First Nations people on the reserve? Okay? With a knife? Not too long ago? The bad guy should have been in jail. They released him early to a healing lodge. Why? And we agree with it? We elect these people that make these decisions? I'll just stop there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.